This is your host, Danny, and this is Do You Know from English Plus Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about the solar system. What do you know about the solar system? Join me in this episode and you will learn more about the solar system. But before we do that, let me remind you that you can become a patron of English Plus Podcast, and by doing that, you will have access to all our premium episodes and to English Plus Magazine, a weekly magazine that includes a variety of topics and will complement what we're doing here in English Plus Podcast. And you can also subscribe to English Plus Podcast channel on Apple Podcasts to have access to all our premium episodes. But if you want to get the magazine, you know where to go. You can become a patron on Patreon, and by doing that, you will be supporting me to continue producing English Plus Podcast episodes and English Plus Magazine. And now, without further ado, let's start talking about the solar system. Do you think our planet is the only place in the universe where there is life? Until 1995, astronomers had never found a solar system like ours. A solar system is made up of a star surrounded by planets and other objects. In 1995, astronomers found a planet orbiting a distant star like our sun. Since then, they have found other solar systems. Astronomers now think that there are many solar systems in the universe. They do not know whether there is life in any of these other solar systems. Our solar system is the one we know the most about. The sun is at its center. Our solar system includes everything that orbits around the sun. Planets, moons, asteroids, comets, gas, and dust are all parts of the solar system. Our solar system lies near the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. A galaxy is a huge collection of stars. The Milky Way is shaped like a whirlpool. All the stars in the galaxy, including our sun, orbit around the center of the Milky Way. Now let's start talking about the sun. The sun, like other stars, is a hot ball of gas. Hydrogen and helium are the main gases in the sun. Almost all the energy in our solar system comes from the sun. The sun changes hydrogen into helium to create light and heat. These changes take place deep inside the sun. And then what about the planets? Now, there used to be 9 planets in the past, but scientists ruled out Pluto, so now we have 8 planets. But anyway, we can talk about the 9 planets if you want, but of course scientists would disagree with me. But talking about the 9 planets or the 8 planets, 8 of the 9 planets in our solar system fall into 2 groups called the inner planets and the outer planets. The 4 planets closest to the sun are called the inner planets. They are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. The inner planets are also called the rocky planets because they are made mainly of rock and iron. There are 4 outer planets: Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. The outer planets are also called the gas giants because they are huge and made mainly of gas. Pluto, this is the controversial planet, the farthest planet from the sun, is a small ball of ice. And as I told you, scientists ruled it out by saying that it is no planet, but it used to be considered a planet in our solar system. Now let's talk about the other planets. Mercury is the planet that is closest to the sun. It has a large core or center that is made of iron. Venus, the next planet from the sun, is the hottest of the planets. The temperature on Venus is about 890 degrees Fahrenheit, about 477 degrees Celsius. Earth is the only planet known to have life. It also has plenty of liquid water. There are signs that liquid water may once have flowed on Mars, but now Mars is cold and dry. What happened to the water on Mars is a great mystery that scientists are trying to solve. And what about the outer planets? Jupiter is the largest of the planets. A thick atmosphere made of hydrogen and helium surrounds it. Jupiter's clouds look like white, brown, and orange stripes going around the planet. There is an oval-shaped red spot in the clouds. Astronomers think this spot is a big storm that has been raging for hundreds of years. Saturn is the second largest planet and the 6th planet from the Sun. It has bright rings around it. Uranus and Neptune look like smooth blue balls. Methane gas gives these planets their blue color. Pluto, although we said it is not a planet, but I'll talk about it anyway, it is the smallest in our solar system. It is far from the sun and very cold. Temperatures on Pluto can drop down to minus 387 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 223 degrees Celsius. Now let's talk about moons around the planets. 7 of the planets have natural satellites or moons. Mercury and Venus do not have any moons. Earth has 1 moon and Pluto has 3. Mars has 2 moons. Neptune has 13 known moons. Uranus has at least 27 moons. Saturn has 47 moons. Jupiter has at least 63 moons. Jupiter's most famous moon, Io, has active volcanoes. So that was about the planets. What about asteroids, comets, and dust? There are thousands of asteroids in the solar system. Asteroids are small pieces of rock and metal. Most of them orbit the sun between Mars and Jupiter. Asteroids that crash into Earth are called meteors. Sometimes they burn up as they fall toward Earth. They make streaks of light in the night sky. Pieces that land on the ground are called meteorites. Comets are another type of object in the solar system. Comets are like dirty snowballs. They are made of ice and dust. Comets are usually far out in the solar system. Sometimes a comet comes in close to the sun. When it comes in close, the comet starts to melt and looks like it has a long tail streaming out behind it. In 1994, pieces of a comet called Shoemaker-Levy 9 crashed into Jupiter. The crash made huge explosions and sent up fireballs that were larger than Earth. So that is about asteroids, comets, and dust. And finally, let's answer the question, how did the solar system form? Astronomers think that the solar system may have come from a swirling cloud of gas and dust. First, a star, our sun, formed from a clump in the cloud. It began as a spinning ball of gas at the center of the cloud. Then the planets, their moons, and the outer objects in the solar system formed from the leftover gas and dust. Other stars and solar systems in the universe may have formed the same way. In fact, new solar systems are still forming from giant clouds of gas and dust. Maybe one day we will figure out that there is life on one of these. Who knows? But with that, we come to the end of this episode. That's everything I wanted to share with you about the solar system. I hope you learned a thing or two you didn't know about before. This is your host, Danny, and this is Do You Know from English Plus Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. I will see you next time.